This Crev's corner, the ball is in your court. Swish.
Welcome back to Crev's Corner, guys. This is my 22nd episode, and here I have a guest who I actually have seen him live perform. It is Kade. So, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here for sure.
Yeah, so we went to your show down in Texas and saw you when you were a drummer for Pecos and the Rooftops, and that was by far one of a good experience for my vacation, for my friends, and a little bit out of our comfort zone. You know, we didn't listen to that type of music, and you are a person who makes your independent music that's not really the same genre. So how did you find yourself being a drummer for that band?
Okay, so music, dude, I've been in music. It's just been a part of my family since I could talk, could remember, remember anything, honestly. So, but growing up, my dad played guitar, and that's really what got me into music, because everyone on my dad's side of the family is really musical. But he was always in country rock bands and stuff. So I've always kind of grew up around that. It was never really what captured me 100% with what I want to make, especially my voice. I don't have a voice for country or anything like that anyway, so it wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, so I've always had a taste in a broad taste in music, but I stumbled upon that because I was actually living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was producing and doing music and stuff with Sony and Epic. And then I moved back to Texas, and literally the same day that I moved back, I had a friend call me. He was like, "Hey dude, I got Pecos and the Rooftops coming in the studio on Monday. Would you be down to come for 4 days and kind of help me with some stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I'd already heard of them because I had done a little bit of work on this damn song. And so I met them in the studio the week following the time that I moved back to Texas, and just met them in the studio and got to know them. I ended up playing a lot of the drum work that's actually recorded anyways. And so, yeah, I was just chilling one day, and I looked on Instagram, and their guitar player, Brandon, had posted on his Instagram story saying they needed someone to fill their drummer position. I was like, I'll do it. At the time, I was in a really low place, career-wise and just mentally. And I was just like, no, I need that. I need to get out. I need to do something. And so I hit him up, and he was like, "For real?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." He was like, "Okay, well, come to Lubbock and whenever you can, next week, and we'll do some rehearsals and see if you like it, see if we like it." And so that's how it happened. Just got to know him in the studio, and then the opportunity opened up.
It was just a fit like that from day one?
Yep.
Now, when you were a kid, you said that your dad was very involved with music. When you were a kid, did you see yourself instantly in the music business, going throughout middle school, high school, college? Did you go to college? Did you find yourself, did you want to be a producer, or did you think the artist route was what you wanted to do initially?
Gotcha. No, actually. And it's really weird because I grew up, I started at 7 years old when I started playing music. I started playing drums at 7. That was the first instrument I learned. At 10, my grandma started teaching me how to play piano. And then around 12-ish, 13-ish, I started playing guitar. And my dad was always on me, you need to learn that. I learned as much as I wanted to, as much as I did, because my dad was always on me, learn as much as you can, because in the future you can maybe fill in for any space in any band and you can make a little extra money. That was the thought process back then. But I just loved music, and I played it just because I loved it. And it never really hit me as a career thing until the last 4 or 5 years. But even in high school, I started a metal band, and I gigged a lot. I filled in with my dad's band every once in a while. I still was playing shows, but it was always just a hobby and just for fun. I think at some point when I was in the metal band, I thought we were going to be big, but I knew in the back of my head it wasn't what I wanted to do. But yeah, I just kind of did it for fun. And after I graduated high school, I did not go to college. I just kind of did whatever for a little bit. I did end up going to college in 2017. I graduated in 13 and then decided I was going to go to college in 17. I only went for 2 semesters and dropped out. And that was about the time that I was like, you know what? I'm going to do music. It only makes sense because I think that people who have a gift, and I think everyone has a gift, I think they should find that gift and they should run with that when it comes to their career. I mean, that's how I look at life. So that's how I thought of it for myself. I was like, okay, let me look at all the things that I'm doing. Music is the one thing that I know for sure that I'm gifted at. So I'm gonna just make a career out of it. Screw it. Why not?
Yeah. So you talk about the gift, and that's what I truly believe is people who have a gift. And I also think that money shouldn't control what your career path is, and that if you have a passion, go for it and hit straight on. It seems like that's really what path you took is you really had passion, knew that you liked what you're doing, and said, you know what, I'm gonna define all odds. I'm not gonna listen to the statistics of people who don't make it, do make it. I'm gonna do me and kind of forget all the doubters.
Yes, because even like at the end of the day, dude, if I end up making a teacher's salary for the rest of my life, as long as I get to be happy and make music, it's all that matters to me. Like it doesn't, it's not a big deal.
I was gonna. That was my next question: is performing in shows, and I'm sure you've had all types of shows where some shows you see people who are upcoming artists who just like didn't make it. Like Jack Harlow just released a picture of his first show, had like 10 people at it, and then you probably had shows that had great attendance. I thought that at Silver Saloon that was a very good attendance for a small kind of last second band. Not last second, but kind of a smaller venue. I thought it was a great audience. So what gets you in a zone when you're about to go up for a show, whether it's yours and you're headlining it, or whether you're waiting for, or you're the person before the headliner, or if you're just a drummer? What do you do to get into that zone?
I do a lot of weird shit, man. Like I do, let me think. Specifically that show, like I was backstage in the green room and there's a video of it somewhere where I'm in the mirror, like there's a bunch of people in the green room. I'm looking in the mirror and I'm screaming above everyone. I'm like, let's do this. We're the best band ever. I'm the best drummer ever. Not really, but I'm the best drummer ever tonight. And then, I get myself hyped up and I don't know. I like to put myself in good spirits because that's how, like, that's a part of it. Like the show is like, you're putting your energy out into other people and they're going to grasp whatever you're putting out, and that's what I've always believed. So like before that, I like to make sure that my energy's up, and sometimes it's just hyping myself up and yelling. That doesn't happen all the time, but like sometimes it's that, sometimes it's loosening up, having a couple beats or whatever. I never get like really trashed or anything before especially if I'm singing. I usually just stick to like one beer or so, but I just usually keep it like, just I don't know, just giving myself energy, just like hyping up and making sure that I'm like in a clear space. I like to go out and mingle with like the crowd and like with fans and stuff, but I had to have at least like 20 minutes where I get away from that and just like get to myself and be like, okay, we're about to make this happen. Like that's what I normally do.
Your energy did pass on to the crowd along with me and my friends. I mean, we were getting to the music.
Y'all really were. It was sick.
But when you are headlining it, do you ever take some preparation, the week before? And I saw you headlining the show just recently, and you've released a ton of music this year, backtracking onto 2017, 18, 19, 20. I mean, you've released a ton of music when you have been a drummer, when you haven't been a headline, and when you've been a headline, and it's your own music. So when you're actually being a headline, it's your concert. Do you ever do any preparation before that you don't do when you're a drummer?
Absolutely. So like when it comes to my stuff, and now that's all it is. It's like I'm the head of everything. I like to think of myself as the band leader. It's not always the singer that should be the band leader, but in my case I am, just because I'm dealing with all the music, right? Because as a solo artist, I have a band, but like my music I make isn't band oriented. It's all like it's electronic. So I bring the music to the table and for the guys, but even like preparation wise, like I have a show this Friday and literally as we speak, my computer behind this computer, I'm working on track work for the show because we play with tracks and I don't have a bass player this week. So I'm having to record bass tracks for everything so that we have a bass playing during the show. So yeah. I'm always doing preparation and it's actually kind of stressful sometimes. I was down the last 2 weeks with my wisdom teeth, so I'm a little backed up on this, but yeah, I'm always like, yes, constantly working on music. And then when I'm not working on like new songs and stuff, I'm working on the show. It's always just work.
Now, during the show, what is your favorite type of fans? You have a vast majority of fans that have different styles. You have annoying ones, you have great ones, you have the drunk ones, you have the sober ones. So what's your favorite? What's your favorite type of fan?
Man, I love them all, honestly. Like, even if they're annoying and drunk, like they're doing it for a reason. Like if they're annoying, they'll be like, oh my gosh, like it's like regardless, like they feel some type of way from whatever I'm putting out. And I still respect that. And I don't know, I just appreciate all of it. But I'll say my favorite type of fan though is the ones that sing back. Like I love when people sing back to me. Like that's the best. That's like the feeling that I look for in all of this. Like I look for that. I listen for that. The last show that I headlined, I have a song called Rain. And there was a point in time where and I have in-ears in and I could hear them singing over my in-ears. So I took one out and I was like, this is crazy. I put the microphone down and I just sat there and I just held it out. I was like, y'all are crazy. And they just sang like a whole like 32 bars. I don't know. Like, did they sing like so much? And I was like, I don't even want to sing right now. Like, why would I want to sing when y'all are singing this back to me and y'all know all the words? Like, it's so crazy.
You mentioned your song Rain, and you also have big songs, Are You Down, Slomo. So what song to you is your favorite?
Ooh, does it have to be one that's released right now?
No.
Okay. I have two songs. One's called Inferno and one's called Numb the Pain. Neither of them are released. We shot a music video to Inferno like a month and a half ago. It's going to be the single for my upcoming EP, and then Numb the Pain is also on the EP. But those two songs, man, something about them, they just completely different from everything that I've been doing.
Completely different from everything you've been doing?
Everything, 100%.
So what made you do the move of being a solo artist? You know, you were a drummer for Pecos and the Rooftops, and then you completely just left it and did your own thing. What made you do that, and how big of a move for an individual is that to do? I mean, you're really getting up from a comfortable situation and
Yeah.
making your own thing, kind of getting into an uncomfortable situation, but it's all on your shoulders now.
Yeah. Well, I was doing solo stuff before I ever joined them. That's always, I was working on that hard. I had the band, I was doing shows, I was doing all this stuff before I ever joined Pecos. But it was never, and it still isn't. I mean, those guys are growing so much, man, and I'm so happy for them. Like, they're growing tremendously, and it just keeps, like, every time I check their numbers, I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, it never stops going. But like, yeah, I went from what I was doing, I was still doing this, and then I joined them, and it was really comfortable. I got to be honest, like, just being able to tour, being on a bus, like, just being able to wake up when you want and like set up some drums, sound check, do whatever, sleep, chill, go do something in whatever city you're in, come back, play a show, party a little bit, go back to sleep, and like rinse and repeat. Like, it was really comfortable. It was really easy and it was fun. But at the end of the day, like, I had to get out of it, just because like I know that my heart lies in my own music and I make it for a reason. So it was it's different. It's not difficult, but it's definitely different going from like super comfortable to back to like super like down on the grindstone, like having to just make sure you're working every day. But I am a workaholic, so it doesn't really bother me. And I know that I'm going to be in a place that I want to be eventually. And that's all that matters.
You talk about the tour life. I think that a lot of non-musicians always want to be like, it'd be cool to be a rapper, it'd be cool to be a singer, and go on that tour life, you know, performing in front of thousands of people that know all the songs that you sing and sing them back to you. How cool is actually the tour life, really?
Dude, it's unbelievable. And I've had a lot of people like ask me like why I quit, and I guess they just don't understand like that I'm making, like, that's why I quit, because of my music. But a lot of them are like, is it because like you're just tired of the road? And it's like, what's up? And I was like, no, like, absolutely not. I'm not tired of the road. Like, I live for it. Like, it's, to anyone who is a non-musician, like, I will say being on a bus is what makes it all worth it. Like, when you're in a van and doing those things, like, because in the beginning we were in a van and you know, having to grind it out, and it's a little rough. Like, you have to sleep in hotels, you have to wake up at ungodly hours and travel hours and hours and have to switch spots, like who's driving and doing all that. And that's a little rough, but you still appreciate it at the end of the day, like what you're doing. But when you get on a bus and you're actually like touring like across the country, it's unbelievable. I can't even, like, I really can't explain it. Like, when we toured in the north, like when we went through we did a run that was like Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, Washington, or not Washington, Montana. And was it Montana? Either way, somewhere up there. And dude, just like being able to, I just waking up, food on the bus, make some food in the microwave, cook some stuff up, go in the front of the bus with the driver, just chill with him, and there's mountains everywhere, and you're just like, this is my life. I'm waking up, I'm doing this, I'm gonna be at a destination soon. It's gonna be an off day, I might go hiking, which I did do a lot of hiking, got some poison ivy on my face. That's a different story. But we're gonna go hiking, or we're gonna set up for a show, and we're gonna play to, a couple thousand or 1,000, whatever it is. Dude, it's unbelievable. Like, there's nothing that I can really compare it to, honestly.
Now, just picking this up from you and this little conversation that we've had, you seem like a very spiritual person and, you know, hiking mountains. So talk about that. Talk about your spiritual journey. You said that you were at a low place at one point of your life. And I think that we all were at some point. You know, either I've been in a low place in my life and I took my spiritual journey from about 2 years ago or a year and a half. to now, and I've been way better. I'm more spiritual than I've ever been, and I feel way happier with myself, more comfortable in uncomfortable situations. So talk about your, I mean, what happened after, you were in a low spot? What happened to make you turn that around? You seem happier than you've almost ever been. I don't even know you, and you seem like the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah. I've always kept good spirits, man. I don't know. Even in my lowest times, I tend to put that mask on, even though like we all deal with things behind it. But I don't know. I was in a really low place because I was just letting a lot of things get to me. And I was there's a lot of typical things that was happening, like a breakup and all that stuff that was happening. And I had moved back from Atlanta where I was working with big record labels, and then I'd kind of gotten away from that because I wasn't sure like if it was where I needed to be. And then I came back to and I live in a small town, so doing all these big things and having all these things, and then like break up, and then I moved back, and I'm like, okay, and I just like closed all the doors that I opened for myself, and now I'm sitting here in a little small town, like I'm not making any more money. I don't know. It felt like everything I worked for at the time all crashed down on me, and that really hit me hard. And it takes a lot to put me down for real, because I really am a happy person. But it was a dark time, and it slid into other things, and I was just, I don't know. I think it took just time for sure, but then also like speaking of spirituality, I'm a believer. I believe in God, and I think I needed to personalize my relationship with Him at the time, and I think just honing in on that and making sure I was working on myself and just being better and growing as a person in general, like not really worrying about anything. I quit music for a little bit. Like I took a break from everything. I just needed to make sure that I was healthy, eating healthy, being healthy, like working out, all these things, just to make sure that I was becoming a better person. And I think all of that brought me to back to where I am now, which is in a better place than I've ever been. And which is with the hiking and stuff, but like I am a spiritual person, and I love connecting like with nature. Ever since a kid, like I was a kid, like I would just go out into the woods for hours on end, and I would just like walk around, and I would chill. I'd bring food with me in a backpack, 13 years old. I would build little, huts and stuff. And I've always been connected with that side. So that's like my biggest passion, like even beyond the music. Like I want to travel and I want to experience like just life in general. That's just a big part of me. So
Now, are you looking to be a solo artist and not sign a record label, or are you looking for a record label to, find you at one point in your career?
I'm never really looking for either. I'm just more working towards whatever's gonna happen, and I'm putting in the work so that whatever comes back, I can take the best offer. If that's being independent, then that's great, and if it's being on a record label, that's great as well. But I will say, without spoiling too much, there may be a record label situation later next year. I can't confirm, and I can't like speak that right now, but I there could possibly be, and if that is the case, then I will 100% take it if the deal's right.
Now, talking about, big things in the future, do you look to go on tour in the future at all?
Absolutely. I'm taking the time right now just to make music and build things aside from the touring. I'm spotting in some shows here and there, but I'm not going to tour until I feel like I can. When you tour, you want to make sure that you're going to venues and you're drawing a crowd. I don't know. It's not necessarily important, because just like we were talking about the Jack Harlow thing, like even his first tour, like 7 people would show up, and that's great too. But like you want to make sure that there's a little bit there. You want to have a little bit of confidence that you're going to each town and you're drawing a little bit, so that I don't know, you're doing it. It's worth something. But I want to wait until things are built up a little bit more. So I'm thinking probably maybe by next summer, sometime around then, I might try to start touring again. If not, then maybe a little bit later. But I'm not really rushing it right now. The time will come. I'm really just working on the music and building up the brand right now.
Now, we talk about your name change. You changed it to KVDE, which you still call Cade. What made you choose that as a stage name? And what made you really get a stage name instead of just keeping, your actual name that everyone knows you by?
Yeah. So I did originally release music under my real name. It was my first and last name, which my name is Kade,
It was under
Kade.
Spotify. Yeah, that's how I
Yep.
found you. It's in your description when you go into your stage name.
Yep. So yeah, I did go by that, and I don't know. Every time, not a lot of people know how to pronounce my last name, and which is okay, because there's a lot of different ways to kind of look at it. So that was one thing, and I was just like, okay, so no one knows how to pronounce it. But then also like it's my name. I should love it, but like it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Like I don't like Kade Trentham. Like it just doesn't roll. I just didn't like it. So I was like, how can I simplify it? I don't really want to make an alias where I'm like a different person
Yeah.
because I don't know. It's not in my personality to do that. I love when people can do that and they hone in on it. But like I was just like, I don't know who I would be. Like who would I name myself? I don't understand. So I was like, I'll just make it Kade. But like, how can I make it flashy? So I was like, we'll put the V. And then, so I don't know. It took a little bit more thought than that, but I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. Because I wanted simplicity and I wanted to make sure that when I was explaining to somebody that I make music and how they could search me, it was 4 easy letters, KVDE, search it. It's pronounced Kade. And that's all they had to do. And it's easy to look at and remember. It also kind of twists your brain. Like, is it KVDE or is it K? What is it? Either way, it's getting planted in your mind and you're like kind of confused, but also kind of like, this is hype. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean because I was like, "Is it Kate? Is it?" And then me, it was just imagine 4 guys my age sitting around being like, "Is it Kate? Is it? What are we gonna call it?" And then we were
Yeah.
just like, "You know what? It's Cade. He said his name's Cade. We'll go with that."
Heck yeah.
Now, my next question is: so I looked at your numbers for this. You have 2.5K followers on YouTube, 2,500, and you also have 1,700 monthly listeners. But I'll be honest with you, man, your music is better than that. So, what are you? I mean, are you frustrated that the view count isn't that low? My podcast, I sometimes look at the views and I think, my views isn't where I want it to be. But looking
Yeah.
back on it, episode 1, I would have dreamed for this view count. So what is it
Yeah.
going into? You said you were 4 or 5 years into it, and you have 1,700 monthly listeners. 1,000 people have less listeners than that a month. So what are you? Are you satisfied with those numbers? Are you just patient, waiting it out? Do you think that you got a song that can be your big song? Is that really the myth? Is an artist just needs one big song to blow up? Are you waiting for that one big song, or?
No, I'm never waiting for the big song. And I don't think that any artist should ever be waiting for that big song because you'll be chasing something like for the rest of your career. Because to be honest, people who do blow up like that, like say with Pecos and the Rooftops, they put out one song and boom, their career was formed off of that song. It's an anomaly. Like that doesn't happen to everybody. That's literally, they are a 1 in a million chance, like maybe greater than a million. Like that doesn't happen. And you can't look at those situations. I'm happy for them. And that's great that happened, but you can't look at it and let it represent like what your career is going to be like, because that just does not happen for anybody. It's crazy that happened to them, but it does not happen. So never chasing that song. I'm always grinding, but like, as for the numbers, am I satisfied? No, I never will be satisfied, but I'm optimistic because what the heck? Sorry. Because before I joined the band, before I joined Pecos and the Rooftops, my monthly listeners had peaked at like 20,000, which still isn't great, but like I had gotten to that point. And then when I quit, like being so active and making music, I was, just more focused on them. That's when all the stuff started to drop because I don't know, I just wasn't being active as an artist in general. And I watched that drop. So I know that I'm capable of building things back up. So that's all that matters to me. And I'm not worried about the numbers right now. I mean, they'll grow. They have grown before. I'll grow them back and I'll be stronger than ever. But yeah. So I'm not worried about it. It'll be all right.
I'll say I like that answer. That answer makes me very happy for you and going forward that you know that you have the capability to do that.
Yeah. And to tag on to that, like if a song does blow up, that's great. Like, of course, that's amazing. But I'm never chasing that. I'm always just worried about just working every single day. As long as there's gradual growth throughout the year, every day, that's all that matters.
And this damn song is a pretty good song. I mean,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They blew up pretty good
Oh, yeah.
because of a pretty good song. Now to end this interview off, there's so many talented artists in the world that are unthinkable. I mean, there's so many great talents. What are some of the artists that you want to work with if you had like a dream concert?
Ooh. So we're talking about like a
We're talking
concert
big
in
names.
the studio, not
Yeah.
the studio in a live show.
In a live show. Live show. You get 4 people in you.
Ooh, man. Have you ever seen videos of Bruno Mars performing?
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. He would have to be on there, 100%. I'm gonna put artists in my genre mainly because that would only make sense. But like also, I love a lot of artists in my genre. But Charlie Puth, he's a madman. Oh man, who else would be on the show?
Yeah, it don't gotta be 4.
Oh, The Weeknd. The Weeknd would be.
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd, 100%. And Posty, I love Posty.
Those are some guys that I can see fit with you. Those
Yeah.
are definitely some guys I can see fit with you.
That'd be a sick show.
Well, do you plan on moving out to LA, once your music gets bigger, or do you plan on staying right where you are?
I actually am moving to LA in February.
You're moving to LA in February. All right. Make the
I
dream
have a
happen.
situation, so I'm not gonna speak much on it right now because I can't. But I'm moving to LA in February because there's a couple situations in place.
Well, congratulations, man. I'm happy to watch your career take off, and I'm happy to, I got the journey before, so I'm happy if you do blow up. And when you do blow up, I can be like, yeah, I saw that guy back in 2020 or 2021, I guess. But yeah, thank you, man, so much for doing this interview. Everybody, Kade, check his music out on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Slomo, Are You Down, Rain, some good songs. Thanks, Kade, for joining me.